I know, it's kind of late, isn't it? Howdy, Dakota. What's up, Jeff? Hey, Jeff. Howdy, Jax. Thanks for being here. Sean, Noah. I know it's kind of late, but... Oh, it's not late in Australia. But, so I've seen a couple comments recently about people missing the live video, and I thought, well, shoot, I got a minute. Got a couple recent videos out, so I haven't really... I wanted to do a live every time I do a video, in case there was, like, any, you know... Just a cool way to touch base. Yeah, sorry, it's almost your bedtime there, Dakota, but this is probably not one to stay up for either. So, yeah, in New Jersey, it is 10:30, 11:30, 12:30. Oh man, I stay up till 1, 2 every night. Jeff, tell me, are you guys working tomorrow? Is there anything hooked up? Because I just did I was so immersed in my project at home today that I didn't do nothing. Monkey beaver, I didn't do anything tree work. I just did stuff right here. So, Jeff, tell me, are you guys working tomorrow? I know it's a silly question for me to be asking. Good, Jeff. There you go. Just show up. That's the best advice for everything. Unless it's for something you shouldn't show up for. Let's see now. Let me stay up with these comments. The rest of the world is listening. The rest of the world isn't listening, sir. This is a tiny fragment of world here. But some of the most important fragment to me. It's 6:30 in the morning, drinking coffee before going to work. Okay. Have a nice day at work. John Stedman, you want to show up tomorrow? We could do that. I don't know what we're doing. I moved a bunch of dirt. Can you see that I'm covered in dust? Like, you could probably wash me into my hat. Oh, my mom is the secretary. There is work today to do. You mean tomorrow? She would know, huh? She's there. Eric's schedule is a bit flexible. My back is sore. It's permanently sore, like arthritis or something. I don't know. But I've been doing this thing called the Pso-Right, PSO, for your psoas muscle. I've been using this thing, and I've been doing the Buck and Billy Ray ball and stretching, and like, I'm surviving. I even climbed a tree. You guys haven't seen it yet. You'll see the video soon. But I climbed a tree, the tree that I talked about, the tree about how to make a tree video, and then I screwed up the video. That one. I'll still make that video because it'll be whatever it is. Joshua, wish I could watch. Busy in tree. Have a good night. All right, Joshua. Joshua's into the GoPro. I think he's going to like these videos. He's going to get hooked up. He was asking about editing software. I've already been over this with John Stedman, who now makes so much bank money. He makes so much money now that he is going to get a Mac and Final Cut Pro And I'm going to personally show him how to edit video. Of course, I'm going to show everybody else too on YouTube, but I was going to take him by the hand and show him. Let's see. Which edit did you like, Observant? The recent? The previous? The recent? I don't understand. I'm like, I still feel like I'm breathing dust. Like I need a mask for the right reasons, you know, for dust. Joseph just went down the rabbit hole with back issues. Yeah, well, that could happen. How do you become a better groundie? Dude, are you making fun of me? Jack Bazinet, are you making fun of me for my groundie skills? Because I'm working on it, okay? And I will get there someday. I haven't been a groundie for long. I mean, I just started. Was it yesterday, Jeff, that I started being your ground man? So yeah, he got yiked a little and he got knocked around a bit. But I'll get there, Jack. My people are just so brutal. Okay. Oh, the inch from the house one, that was a great. I really liked that video. I did. Super duper loved it. I'm well, Nikki, thank you. Do you know much about that Bauer Tree Equipment guy? Never heard of him. What is he? A store? Is he a channel? Is he what is he? What does he do? What's his thing? Is he a salesman? I was really hoping my old original climber that I looked up to that inspired me to start climbing would have showed up for that job that I did with the crane, the one an inch from the house job. Climbers do get praise. It's kind of funny when you're a climber for years and then you start stepping down. So check it out. Hold on, Jack. You've been climbing for years and years, and you've been like heroically most of the time slaying these backyard dragons and coming down and greeting the adoring accolades of many homeowner fans who just can't believe that you would go that high or that far out or get jarred around that so much and what got you. They ask all the questions, right? Some of them don't give a rip. But then you come down and you start training other people in there, going up the tree, and you're watching, you're holding the rope or whatever. And it could be the guy's first or second job, and you know, and he's been mentored well, and so he goes up there and he makes it happen. And it's kind of like with computers. You don't have to be very much ahead of somebody in the computer world to look like an absolute genius to them. So the homeowner who's never done anything like that sees the green guy go up top a tree, take a little ride, just looks awkward as heck to the pro. But to the homeowner, whoa, that guy is legit. So you're like, good job, buddy, you know, and the homeowner comes up to you and goes, wow, that guy, do you climb too? Do you do that? You know, and it's like, yeah, I tried it once. It's, you know, it's okay. It's funny now if people ask me that, I just act like a total noob because I get amused on the inside. I don't have to tell them that squirrels are asking for my autograph and stuff, you know. I already told everybody that. And if you didn't know that, then I'm amused. by that. So Jack, how do you become? That's good. You're putting funds aside for the Mac, John. We'll get there. Do birch trees have tap roots? What is with these random potpourri questions? Let me get to Jack here with how do you become a better ground man? And that's a potpourri because what did he say? How did he word that? Let's see. How do you what was it? I'm just gonna look for Jack. What was the question? Yeah, let's see. I knew he wasn't picking on me. What do you look for in a new groundie? I want to be a better groundie so I can move up to climber someday. Okay. I'll tell you what you look for. You look for a guy who wants to be a better groundie so he can be a climber someday. That's what you look for, Jack. You look for somebody who's into it. You look for somebody who's there because he feels like he's in the right place and he was made for this. You look for somebody who carves a tiny chainsaw, whittles it out with a pocket knife and hands it to you because they like chainsaws and they hope they'll work for you someday. You look for somebody who looks up a lot, not to you, unless you're up there, but to somebody who looks up a lot as a groundie. Because if you don't have helmet communication and your guys on the ground aren't looking up, then you're just going to be wishing they were looking up. So look up a lot and ask yourself, what do you want to do? And then if you want to do it, you're looking for the guy as an employer. Screw that. Not an employer. Don't think of it like that. A colleague. You're looking for somebody who wants to have... My printer is printing. What is this? Why am I getting a message? Oh, is this for you?
Yes.
What is it? This is highly important stuff. We interrupt this important ground man improvement message to show you a trumpet made out of a funnel and duct tape. Okay, this is just like being on Facebook. You never even knew you needed that information and it scrolls past you so much that your life evaporates before your eyes and you didn't even know it was gone and then you're dead. So, Jack, how do you be a better ground man? You ask, how do you be a better ground man? That's how. And then you buy your own stuff. Like Adam. Adam wasn't here a minute before he's like buying himself a fanner hat with communication. I'm talking about $600 he's going to plunk down because he wants the best stuff. Guys that equip themselves because they want to climb a dang tree after work. Okay, I'm not saying I want to do that now because I've done it. But I'm saying when you're into it, you'll know what you want and you'll be the guy that's already the better ground man because the future is inevitable when you have that attitude. Next question. He sells equipment, used to be out of Cali. I don't know him. Let's see. Let's drop to the groundie that is also a climber. The best groundies are climbers, typically. No, my daughter's not on Facebook. Did you just ask that? Oh, the look on her face, yeah. But not every killer ground man is a climber. There are a few exceptions. Sam Rodriguez, just an absolute legend of awesome. Never climbed. He would though. If you told him to do it, he'd do it. Jesse Bellingham, Jesse Bellinger, solid, absolute dream of a guy to be working with. Not a climber. Some of the greatest rope men are going to be climbers. They know what they want because they've been there. Yeah, that's enough on that subject. If I missed some awesome ground man like Adam or Damien or Jeff or somebody, then sorry. They should know that we love them. Okay, always looking for someone with passion. Yes, sir. Randy, good to see you. Good to see you. Do you have ideas on what to do with a huge truck full of nails and screws? I'm thinking that's a trick question. Hope you're doing great. I mean, the greatest groundman ever to walk the battlefield. I climb when I'm asked to. Tyler Allison, ladies and gentlemen, is the greatest groundman to ever walk the battlefield. I like that attitude. Trevor Black, do you let your customers add work to the job the day of doing? Yeah, I do, as long as they pay for it. Thanks, Jamie. I would just say, Brock tells you, Jack, I would just say to Jack, keep hustling and putting 100% into everything, and your bosses will notice and even offer you a higher position. Kind of how I moved up. This is good advice, but it's not a guarantee, depending, because tree work bosses, tree work companies tend to be often so production motivated that they go with what works. They'll do 1 year 30 times and say they have 30 years of experience. They will go with what works and try to bang out jobs with whatever the use is. So I couldn't get a job climbing, and I was dying, begging, pleading, just ready like a puppy down there to go and climb every day. It took a couple of years before I said, oh, y'all ain't gonna let me do it. You don't think I'm ready, or you're just stuck in your ever-present now with your current way of doing it with that guy who's really good and this guy on the ground, and August needs to keep picking up sticks forever. Well, no. So I decided, if I'm going to be a climber, I'm going to have to hire myself. So before I even knew how to do it, I went and got a business license, business insurance, and gear. And I took out an ad on the radio, and I said, I'm the God's gift to tree work. And I wasn't. And poor Joe Public would call me, and I would come to their house and faked it till I maked it. And here I am. So yeah, you might get a cool company that will be happy to put you in a tree because they like that and they understand that that's how stuff gets on the ground, is from the sky. And there's money in it. But most companies are stuck in a mindset, they stay small, which isn't a bad thing. You could stay small and be totally cool. Like, you like it that way. That's different. But I'm talking about companies that are always behind and always small and always falling apart. That's how most of them are going to be. I don't even hate those guys because they're real and they're people and they're working. They're hard working. So, what are we talking about? What are we moving on to here? I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of good comments while I'm just yakking away. Hello, Sean. The good ground man lets the guy in the air do his work efficiently. That's John Martin Tama. Yes. A good ground man anticipates the next move of the climber. Is always there trying to facilitate the next thing that he's going to need because he's in the more uncomfortable position. If he's really good, he'll kind of be comfortable. He'll kind of look comfortable because he'll be making it look easy. But make no mistake, if you go there and you're not familiar with it, you'll realize this guy is he's making it look easy because this is an uncomfortable work environment. Not always. You get good, but for the new guy, it's uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? So you anticipate his every move. The sooner he's on the ground, the sooner he can help you, if he will. Either way. If he's rappelling out with a saw hanging on his hip, you're running up there to grab that saw off of his hip and unhook it. And you're bringing his gear wherever he's going to need it next. You're constantly anticipating the every move. So yes, John Martin Tama makes a valid point. Hey everybody, I hope everyone is healthy and well. Have a blessed night. Thank you, thank you. Are things picking up? Well, I guess people started not being as scared of spending money. So I haven't made any money off of tree work. I make enough money to pay guys and equipment bills, which is great. So it's surviving. It's surviving. The company lives. The company is alive. Okay. Y'all, I was wanting to tell you about a certain comment. Let me see if I can find it. He doesn't deserve me to answer him. I already answered him, but I thought it might explain why I just blocked him and didn't spend a lot of time talking to him. Because you guys are my peers. I might not find the comment, but I needed a break from talking anyway, right? Ridiculous. So I don't know where this comment will be. There's so many. It's like the video has got a lot of views, over 1 million. Anywho, I think it's, how many views does it have? No, I exaggerate. It has 911,934 views. It has 2,131 comments. Maybe if I go to newest first. Okay, here it is. Oh yeah, this is gonna trigger me real good. This guy, and I've seen this comment before, so it's not really him specifically, but there is like a mental it's a defect. It's a defect. It's a personality defect. It's a character defect. Whatever it is. It's a state of mind that is so, and this is where you'll see me struggle to not make cuss words. If ever there was a good time for cuss words, and there might be a good time for them. I'm not for sure that a person should never cuss, because what is a cuss word? Like like take for example the S word that people say often. It really just describes the excrement that comes from a sheep. So if something is really S word, then you might be descriptively properly calling it what it is. Anywho, that's beside the point. This type of mindset that I'm going to refer to makes me think that these people are several things that I won't say. However, let's get to it. All very well criticizing the guy. Okay, this is where I went to a job and the guy he attempted to fall his own tree and it got hung up and was cracking through the limbs of the tree it was hung up in, like settling and branches falling when I drove up. It was threatening his electric gate, his fence, and the high tension power lines that were feeding the whole neighborhood. And they were freaking out. He was trying to remain calm and act like nothing was wrong. But the lady was like, we need a guy here that knows what he's doing if this can even be reversed. I drove up and I was like, man, I do not want to touch that thing. It's about to fall right now. Okay, so that's the setting. I was doing bids in my wife's van. Okay, I didn't have a tree truck there with all kinds of tools and safety gear and chaps and stuff like that. I did have a hard hat. I was wearing tennis shoes. Okay? It's not what I would choose. I love my armor. I love my leather boots. I love my hard hat. I wear chainsaw protection. I wear gloves. A lot of guys don't even wear gloves, right? I show up. This is me on the fly, right? I'm doing bids. These guys have a recklessly dangerous to the neighborhood situation. There's a street there. If it goes across the wires, there's going to be fire and traffic issues, and it's like I'm like, whoa. I mean, I'm watching it settle, and I'm not. The video does no justice to the actual cottonmouth drama that was unfolding on site there. So, yes. So, I had to decide whether I was going to touch this tree. Because as soon as I touch it, like if I start to put a rope in it and then it falls, oh, implication, you know? And so I was like, listen, you guys, I don't know if I can reverse this. I feel like it's going any second. And if I touch this, I just need something from you saying that you are the culprits and that I tried to save you even though there was no chance. And she's like, well, we'll do anything. We'll sign something, whatever. And so I'm like, okay, now meanwhile, we're talking about it. It's settling. The guy's out there walking around under it. I'm just, the whole situation is bad. I'm like super calm, but inside I'm like, do I touch this? Do I take this on? It's going. It's going to fall. It's going to be dramatic. I'm going to be there when it happens. Okay? Do I touch the tree? I'm trying to make this decision, okay? I'm all, okay, shoot a video. Talk to your phone, lady. Tell your phone on video right now everything that we just said and that you take full responsibility for what your husband just did, or he takes responsibility and I'm helping you in a plan that might not work and could just fall right after I start. Okay. So, and then the interesting part of the story for those people who want to hear it. Another interesting part of it is I was praying Remember the Monkey Beaver poem where you say a secret prayer, you're calm, but you also are kind of like, I need some help. So I was like, Dear God, I'll tell you what, if we can do this, I will give you the credit, first of all. Second of all, I'll split the money with you, right? I'm like, this is a real prayer, quietly, in my head. I'll share the money. I'll split it right down the middle, like that's some big hero move or something. I know it sounds ridiculous, sounds funny, but I did. That's what I did. Because I figure he's got all the money already, right? He's got all the money. He's got the galaxies and stuff, and I'll take half. And so I did. And we did it. We handled it. Some will say it was my invisible friend and I did everything. I don't know. All I know is we got it done. And it was awesome. But anyway, there are people who get on the video and tell me, how's it going, John? There are people who get on the video and tell me that I'm a cowboy, no better than the guy who made the disaster. Because why? Why? Because I'm not wearing chaps and I'm wearing tennis shoes. That's why they come after me. So here he says, very well criticizing the guy, but then you use a chainsaw wearing a pair of jeans and sneakers, no leg or foot protection. Use PPE, otherwise you're just another cowboy with a chainsaw. Okay, here's like the main problem I have with this guy. He's using cowboy in a derogatory way. For cowboys are awesome. Why is it the cowboys get the negative? Why do you say, well, he's just a cowboy, whatever? Come on, man. Cowboys are cool. Cowboys are awesome. They got good boots and hats. They wear chaps. I mean, come on. Seriously. I don't like that he's dissing. He's using cowboy in a derogatory way. They got spurs, Christopher. They got spurs. I mean, they're way cooler than you, dude. Internet troll. I mean, you're drinking a 72-liter Dr. Pepper right now, and you are gonna struggle to get out of that chair, okay? Not because you've got a back that's tired from work. Okay, so they criticize me, and so I come back. I hope you don't read this comment because it's. Let me just. I called him. Let's see. Okay, let me just delete that in case you read it because it was me having bad temporary loss of control of my phraseology. Okay, so I told him the same thing I tell these guys that come at me with this is those people would have no chance of getting rescued by a guy like this because he wouldn't do anything that wasn't in his perfect sterile environment of the expected. You know what I'm saying? Oh no, I mean, what if you have to be resourceful? Isn't that basically, this is my opinion, because there are people who are super good at being prepared, tree people. There are different personality types. There are prepared people who are well versed in rescue of climbers, well versed in tons of what if scenarios. They're good people to have. But I think predominantly the best trait, the number one get you through tree work and life trait that you could possibly have is resourcefulness. To be able to quickly think on your feet and use what's around you, because you will find whatever you need for that job, typically, if you believe it, if you believe this, you will find what you need to finish the job. Whatever you need, it will be around you and you'll get through it. I've seen that over and over and over. So I'm there, I've got my hard hat, and I've got my chainsaw, and I've got a climbing rope that's new. I'm gonna have to sacrifice the rope for this plan. And so I threw together this ridiculous plan that was based on a fulcrum and a whole lot of driving power. The only person on that I couldn't cut and drive at the same time. And when this thing started to go, it needed this crazy, like this is the fulcrum, okay? It needed this crazy power to move the tree as it was falling around the fulcrum. Boom. It was gonna be a timing thing, and I wasn't gonna be able to trip the last little ridiculous fibers that were holding it on the stump and drive at the same time. So I put the guy that... Did we save this live feed? Is it? Am I on? Can you guys tell me? Can you tell me if I'm on? The thing quit working all of a sudden. I'm on. Okay. What was I talking about? Okay. Well, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the fulcrum. I put the guy that had instigated the whole event in charge of driving, and I told him exactly what to do, and I told him, if it goes south on us and across the wires, stay in the vehicle. There was a ton of stuff that happened that it's not on the video. I mean, come on, it's like a crazy scene unfolding, and I take the time to put 3 cameras up. I didn't have time to put 3 cameras up and capture every detail of what was happening on that job. It was insane. Okay, so the long story short, the whole entire point of this is people like this. What I fault them for is they're cowards. They wouldn't take on something like this, but yet they would criticize a courageous save because your chaps aren't on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you can't jump in the lake to save the lady's baby in the back of that car that is submerged, even though it just happened, because you're not ready for that. You don't have the right gear. You don't have the right scuba gear or OSHA signed checkoff list or whatever. You can't do that. This guy can't do that or anything relatively close to that. He's a coward. And this is going out to all of you cowards that want to come and criticize somebody who's doing something you'll never do. Reminds me of the Roosevelt quote. They know neither victory nor defeat because they don't try. They can't. They're stuck in cowardice and criticism. And the more they ride over the top of somebody else, the better they feel about themselves, and the more they stay the same. When you don't complain a lot and you keep it positive for a long time, you eventually have to tell some people some stuff. So I just did. Yeah. It's not this guy. I bet if I met this guy and he didn't have this giant thing to hide behind, we'd be friends. I could be a friend to just about anybody. But we don't have that. And you can't, you're only one guy. You can't just, yeah. So it's people like that. I guess it's the thing I don't like, cowardice. That's the thing that I don't like most. And there's so many forms of it. And we're all guilty of it in some way. There'll be something that we need to face, something that we need to do, something that we haven't done that we should man up or woman up and do, whatever it is. We'll all be guilty of it to some degree. But let's not get stuck there. Whatever that big obstacle is, that big thing that you need to face and cut down, that giant, you got to do it. You got to do it. Or you're this coward. Don't be this guy. Here's another comment on that video. It says, "They're not getting me down, sir." I'm gonna answer this comment because this is another. If I complain about a person, then it's not that they've got inside my head so much that I'm I don't realize how amazing my life is. It's just that you have to call a spade sometimes. You do. Right? So that's what I'm doing. This guy is a coward. So let's see here. Or he was a coward in this moment when we had this. I just blocked him and said goodbye. But I was thinking, you know what? You're that guy that I think, and he thinks I'm the biggest loser because I'm a cowboy with a chainsaw. Dude, you have no idea the cowboy up that I have done. If you think this one little thing that I allowed you to see, yeah, you could not shine my boots. Is now I'm going too far. Okay, now I'm going too far. But okay, listen to this comment. She says, because the tree fell across the driveway. She says, now you can't get out. Well, there actually was a back way. It's a 4-wheel drive van. And it's a 1-ton. It's not a minivan. I've had people say that. What? This guy and his, what a loser with his minivan or whatever. This is a 4-wheel drive 1-ton Nissan van with mud tires, okay? And it was a good tool for getting this done. It was. And then I 4x'd around the property and drove away and left a mess in the yard because I was tired of that place. And today that rope, well, I use that rope now. It was a new climb rope. I've never used it to climb since then because we pulled it ridiculously. Guitar string, scary, super tight. And we moved it around that fulcrum with grace. And that guy, the guy there that caused the scene and then drove as per instructed, he drove really well. He did great. So yeah, let's just, what? Is this another video I gotta delete? No, get it off my chest and delete it. How you guys doing? All 80 people. Ratchet straps for what? Must be talking to somebody else. Margot, I did delete my comment. And I banned the guy because it wasn't worth the effort to talk to. But I wanted to talk to you guys because you know what it's like. Or if you're not a tree person, you're here because of the nitty-gritty, tangible, real person that's talking to you. So I charged him. Now this is he asked what I charged for the job. Was I there? I was probably there an hour. It was one of the most sketched out, cotton mouth, nervous gut, not like afraid for my safety, okay? I'm afraid of being implicated for what they've done. I have fear, but I face it. And I take several important steps. And I am very patient with him, and I go through a lot of, like, stuff. So, yeah, I went through a lot of stuff. What was the question here? I just lost my train of thought because Daniel Murphy showed up. How's it going, buddy? Appreciate, let's see, I'm probably missing a lot of stuff. Yeah, we toasted the rope. What did I charge for it? That's what the question was. Remember I said I'd split the money with God? And I'm all, dude, I didn't say this. In my head, I said, I hate to say this, but man, I've saved this guy so much money with the power company and the road and the police and the neighbors and the loss of life on the street and their gate and their fence and their landscaping and all of that. I've saved them so me how to do it, and he's the guy who caused the whole problem. Okay, and I'm like, $450. Now this is the part that's kind of funny. He's all $450, right? This is the guy, but he can't say nothing to me because I'm like, yeah, 450. Because I've got like all of this energy that you're feeling me off of me right now. This like, heck yes, Jerry Springer. Yes, 450. You're paying, and he's all. I only have $420 cash, and he's not lying. I only have 400. I'm like 420, huh? Interesting number. So I'll take it. 420. He's all, do you want me to write a check for $30? I'm all, so here's where the little bit of mercy happens. I'm like, no, you don't got to write a check. Just give me the 420. So I drove away with the 420 and I gave God $210. So I got 210 for that and a heck of a story and a viral video that probably pays thousands. So in the long run, adversity, if you get through it, stronger afterwards, better for it. Bragging rights, complaining rights, whatever. Actually, I don't get the bragging rights on this one, except I get to say I showed up with God and he made me look good. That's what I get to say. I'll go a little longer here with you in respect to your comments because I've been talking so much. But after all, it would be pretty uneventful video if I just sat here in silence. Billy LeCount, how you doing? It was a decent video. It was surreal. I tried to Um, there was a lot more I could have said about what was going on. It was a video for you. It was a video for my peers. It was a video for the tree people. It was. That's who the video was for. And so I was giving a little bit of behind the scenes nitty gritty because just like I'm talking to you now, I wanted to uh, have a I wanted you to know, and I knew you would know exactly what I was like, you're gonna love this. This is nuts. They're gonna love this. So that's why I wanted to. That's why I made the video. And in so doing, in showing some of the behind the scenes stuff, I was in some ways highlighting somebody else's low point. And so I was trying not to do what I'm doing now, talk to you and say how crazy it was and stuff. I was trying not to do that. And so I just used emojis of how I felt during as the job happened, like and I used just little bits of text rather than doing a voiceover and going mad detailed about how nuts it was. Even though I never said who they were, I actually don't know who they were. I got paid in cash. I showed up on an emergency call, met some people that I don't know, drove away, never seen them again. Don't know names. I don't. Yeah, so I was not like I was saying Bob on whatever street at such and such place did this, this, and this. I was trying not to character assassinate the guy because everybody gets a turn to play the fool and have their moment where they're embarrassed, right? But I also wanted to share it because it was so nuts, so worthy. So I shared it in a way of not going into detail of over detail about it, but I've been criticized for sharing it at all. And I've almost taken the video down a few times because I'm like, I've been torn about it. But then I thought, no, I did a decent job of diplomatically covering this subject. And people will be better for it. Okay? So, are we still talking about this? Yes. We're not. We're not. A couple more minutes. That was one of the first videos you watched, huh? Michael Fuller. Thank you, sir. If I have 2 times 50-foot pines lifting my driveway and sidewalk, will removing them and stump grinding be enough for it to all level back out? Interesting question. Yes. Sort of. It'll level out, but then you got to realize that stump grinding isn't super thorough. So somewhere down the road, there will be... Is this pavement? It'll take a long, long time, and it'll never be perfect if it's pavement. You'll have to tear it up and redo it. But it'll help. A pine tree doesn't keep growing after you cut it down. Fir trees sometimes do if they're connected in the roots to other trees. You'll end up with a living stump. A stump completely covered in bark with no limbs that's alive. That's off the subject. Pine tree, you cut it down, is dead, and it's going to start rotting, and the process of decay to the stump and what's under the ground will eventually create a void that will cause, that's why if you're putting a road through where stumps are, you got to yank the stumps with an excavator, get rid of them entirely, and put good solid fill in there before you build your road, because if you just grind them, then the roots and everything you miss are gonna decay over time, and you're gonna have your pavement having faults in it. He did a good job, Jax. He did a good job driving. I dig into the ground and use a reciprocating saw and cut out some of the roots. Yeah. Excavator. Old subdivision trees, 30 years old. That's not old. I don't know. Tap roots. People are often confused about tap roots, okay? I'm not going to tell you I know everything about every root in the world, but typically a tap root is something in the tree's very young life. It's not like a tap root just keeps going to China forever, and people have this illusion in their mind that whatever they see in the air, it has to have that underneath it in a mirrored reflection underground. It's not true. Roots need air. If you're a taproot, you're probably on a young tree and you've got a job to do. But once you get down into parts of where the topsoil is gone, and there's soil compaction, and there's nothing alive down low. It's minerals and rocks and stuff. Okay? So taproot, no taproot. If it's a big tree, I mean, some big trees, you dig, they tip over or you dig them up, and yeah, they got a dang pretty deep root system, but taproots typically are hyped up by Joe Public. They're not really, they're misunderstood. And a tree's strongest anchorage is by its spread of roots. Sure, the taproot plays a part, especially in the young life. But roots are in the good dirt, okay? Because it's good dirt. That's where organic activity is happening, and worms are living and dying, and leaves are decomposing, and there's air. Roots need air. So there's a little bit of what I know about roots. Does a birch tree have a taproot? The answer would be yes. How long does that taproot a major factor in anchorage? Don't know. But it might not be as awesome as you think, because you might not be looking at it scientifically just because. Yeah, silver maple ain't never gonna tip over, is it? Silver maple. This guy says silver maple roots own my yard. Yes. Yeah, those things, man, they exploit every bit of good dirt. Yes. The trees we see on the ground every winter, the ones that are tipping over all the time, are black oak trees and ponderosa pines, almost exclusively tipping over. How often do we see a white oak tipped over? I can't even think of one. The other trees, fir trees, cedars, madrones, white oaks, everything tips over, but ponderosa pines and black oaks really, really tip a lot. They're tippy. They're like a canoe or a kayak or something. Super tippy. They'll get you wet. It's been an hour, guys. I don't know what's killing the cedars around where you are. Rip them with an excavator, Michael. That is right. If it's an important place that you're working, you're doing something cool there. If you're doing anything cool, man, don't mess around with a stump grinder. It's not, unless they're really small trees and you can get to it. you can like figure it out. The excavator, every time I've seen a big stump pulled, like even a pine stump like this big around, man, it's like the Moab bomb came and left a crater. It's ridiculous how much is yanked out of the ground when an excavator does it, as compared to our sort of surgical, superficial, make the stump look like it was never there approach with a stump grinder. If you want it gone, then you can make it gone. He's got a wheelchair and it's messing up the stinking area. You can do this. All right, John, that's my cue. John Stedman's leaving. What's killing the cedars around Grants Pass? I don't know. I have some really beautiful cedars. I was working on one. I hope I'm not killing it because I put some dirt, not so good topsoil around it on one side because of some leveling that I'm doing. So I don't have like a ton of, oh, I know what he's talking about. He's talking about the cypress trees, I'll bet you. Is that what you're talking about? The hedgerows? The hedgerow, the cypress trees in around Grants Pass that are just like dying like crazy? Okay, here's what's killing the cypress trees around Grants Pass. The tree is planted for hedging because it gives privacy. Leland cypress, yes. Because they grow fast and they make a mean hedge. And they have some lateral span. They get too big for their britches. Okay? People plant here's another myth with a needy tree, a very demanding tree. By demanding, I mean it needs water. This tree is a swamp tree, basically. Where do you find cypress trees in Florida? Around the swamp, right? Okay, well this is a Leland cypress. Still, thing needs water. Thing needs water. Why does it grow fast? Because it's got water. So they put these hedgerows in and they irrigate them with that black pipe and all those little drip things that come off, right? And they give it water. And it's little. It's little and they're giving it water pretty regular and they're pretty hardy, right? Because they have what they need. So the thing takes off and they get themselves a nice hedge. And then they think there's something in the homeowner brain. I don't know what it is, but it makes them think that the tree, once it's established, it doesn't need nothing anymore. Even though it's a tree not from this area, that it doesn't handle a dry, hot, drought every summer. It's a stinking swamp tree, needs tons of water. Even though it's not a tree from around here, they think that once it gets established, doesn't need much. So they would cut back the water. Or say they don't cut back the water, they leave the water the same. Well, the tree's getting bigger. Tree's getting growing, it's aggressive, it's getting wide, you're happy, it blocked your mean neighbor or your neighbor you just wanted to not know about because you wanted your little corner of the world perfectly polished or whatever. So you leave it the same, it gets bigger and bigger. Well, then eventually the cypress is so big for its britches that its water supply, which you started it out with, if you left it the same, and if it doesn't have like some sort of lucky river next to it or something, then it starts to need more water than it had before because it's now, that Great Dane that was cute when it was a puppy and you have a small apartment and now that thing is big and wrecking stuff and needs to go for a walk every 10 seconds. So this cypress tree is demanding, okay? and it outgrows its water supply. This makes it weak. It even strangles its water supply with its aggressive root system that we just talked about a minute ago. That aggressive root system strangles in it, and it goes, wraps around the pipe, or it gets under the pipe and presses the pipe between itself and another hard spot, and pretty soon the water is barely flowing through that thing. It's obsolete, it's defunct, no longer a thing. And whatever nature gives it, nature tries to give it enough, but it doesn't get enough, and it gets weaker and weaker. And then you see a little bit of mortality here and there. And then you start seeing all these little tips, these little twigs bending down, bending down and breaking. And you're like, what the heck is going on? Why are all the tips dead? And why are they all broken and hanging? Well, there's this little critter called a twig girdler. And the twig girdler, and I learned this from Willie from Southern Oregon Tree Care, the finest tree service in Southern Oregon. Anyway, he taught me that. And these little twig girdler bugs, they go into this stinking tender brand new twig that tastes delicious, and they eat around, and they just live inside there until they're ready to leave and go somewhere else. And if the tree is healthy, super healthy, it'll survive twig girdlers for years and years. Like, who cares? Come at me, twig girdler, and it'll be okay. But if the tree's already weak, I mean, isn't that what the beetles do? Aren't they like wolves on caribou? The forest gets weak by overpopulation, overcompetition for light and nutrients in the soil, and then we get a drought. There's not enough rain, or you cut off the water supply, or it cut its own water supply off, and then they're weak, and then the wolves show up and start biting, taking bites out of those caribou, and then all the cypress trees in Grants Pass are dead. Because everybody planted that hedgerow at around the same time. You see them all about the same age, you know, they grew up in 20 years or whatever, 25 or 30 or whatever it is. And every homeowner had the same thoughts. It's established now. We can probably cut back on the water. They all did the same thing, and so we cut down row after row of cypress trees. And that's why the cedars around Grants Pass are dying. And I have talked enough, and I'm going to leave here. I'm covered in dust. I wanted to say hi. Feels good to say some of that stuff. So, thank you. YouTube. You're welcome, Eric. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. I will have a great night. I hate Leland Hedges says, too observant. Makes a mean hedgerow, even it, and if it's healthy and it gives everything it wants, then it grows laterally so much that it breaks. You know, it needs maintenance, whether it's water or love from a guy with a bucket truck. Indeed. All right. Love, joy, peace, patience. I'll see you guys later. I'm going to hit the X now.